Hi, Pat Battle here with Living Web Farms, doing the next installment of our Resilience Daily series, which we are doing in collaboration with the Organic Grower School. And today we're going to talk about onions. We're going to talk about a really special onion to me, one that I've grown for many years, and one that can overwinter and be incredibly productive and actually be quite mild, sometimes even sweet. We have a lot of sulfur in our soil, which we actually applied for fertility purposes, which means there's always going to be a little heat, but if you slice them thin, you can get past that heat to a residual sweetness that occurred because these things were planted in December and overwintered and are maturing just now. Actually, we've been able to pick them for about 3 weeks now. And when you know when it's time to harvest onions, is when they start to fall over, and here's two very good examples. Both of these are finished, okay? This one here never got to finish because it went to seed, okay? And the thing about onions is if they go to seed, the energy goes to the seed head and not to the storage section, and you don't get much of an onion. Now when they first go to seed, you can come by and pull these off, and if that's a lot younger, these flowers are actually edible. They could be a nice onion zing in salad, or you could even chop them up and saute the whole head, so you don't have to waste it. But one thing that I had forgotten when I started to take some of these off is that they also, when they open up, are going to give food to beneficial insects. So if it's not much of an onion anyways, you might want to leave it on so that your beneficial insects can dine also. So we have some really huge onions here. Take a good look at those. That is one very big onion. That's probably a 6-inch diameter. Might be more than 6 inch. And so early on, these onions started to go to seed, and I was like, well, we should save seed. And there were some that were big, but they were still going to seed. And so I put a request out by email that we leave those for seed. And then I thought about it more and realized that's a mistake. You don't want to save onions that go to seed early. You want onions that don't go to seed early. So you want to she got stung? Yeah. Sorry about that, but that's farming, folks.
Nice drama for the storyline.
Yeah. Anyways, you want to pick the ones that don't go to seed that are large, and then they have to stay in the ground for the entire season, and they'll go to seed next spring. So their onions are a biennial, and they want to wait until next spring before you pick them. Another thing to know why these are so big is because the tops are big. There's a handbook, mostly aimed at conventional farmers. It's quite expensive, the Knott's Handbook of Vegetables. And what you can know about the Knott's Handbook of Vegetables is that some of the information in there, even though it's mostly aimed at how to get the right amount of organic matter for herbicides to work and what conventional fungicide to use and stuff like that, they give you some information about fertility. And in there, one of the passages points out that alliums are the most responsive crop to the application of nitrogen. And that's because in order to have a big onion, you have to grow a big top, because the onion literally is a storage unit of the leaf. So the bigger the top, the bigger the bulb, because the bulb is where the leaf has swollen into a storage unit. So you want to be sure that you have a good cover crop ahead of time, good soil biology, so you can get a naturally available, healthy amount of nitrogen. If you overdo that nitrogen, you might get a big onion, but it might not keep well. These, by the way, will keep quite well for Walla Wallas, but Walla Wallas are a sweet onion, they're not a storage onion. Someplace between 5 and 8 weeks at the very most, probably. And oftentimes just eaten, you'll see them in the market. We'll probably show you here. Give you a look at a couple that we are going to pull. I'll just take the ones that are ready, nicely fallen over. And so, if you're selling these or want to show off, if they're really not going to keep anyways, you would just peel. Oops, that was one for seed. Oh well, it wasn't the biggest one, and it's not one for seed anymore. So it goes when you're performing, not paying enough attention to all the details, but rather just to get it in a good look. So you'd peel that down, and that's how you would take it to market and show it, you know. And this is a small one for this bunch, folks. Most of our onions out here are going to be in this range of size, and that's because we put them in December and they overwintered. Not all onions can do that. And by the way, you want to choose which onion you're going to grow based on its day length. So there are long day onions and short day onions. Generally, short day onions are grown in the south and long day onions are grown in the north. That means that the short day onions mature when the days are short, and the long day onions mature when the days are long. So this is a long day onion because it's right now is a very long daylight time of the year. And you really want to check that out when you're buying your onion seed. The best catalogs actually give the best latitudes that they grow at. It's easy to Google your latitude, and you can get the ones that are perfect for your area. There is a type called intermediate, and they can grow and set bulbs at any latitude. And they are more about how long they've been in the ground and how much of a head of steam, how big those tops are. So that's overwintering onions, one of my favorite. We also grow the ones that we put in the spring, but overwintering ones give you a big boost in how long they can be in the ground and therefore how long they can grow big tops and make big onions. Remember to check us out at our Instagram at Living Web Farms.